All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to talk about what is the difference between complementary and supplementary. So complementary is when two angles form 90 degrees. Okay, so that's when we know that there's a little right angle and we're going to solve, and those two angles, when I add them together, equal 90 degrees. Supplementary are when they have a straight line, there's two angles that are adjacent to each other, and they form a straight line, okay? So here's a straight line compared to a right angle. So in this case, what you're going to do right now in your paper is we're going to say, is this complementary or supplementary? So I'm going to put a big S, okay? Supplementary, because it has that straight line. Okay, so whenever I'm solving for the missing angle, okay, the first thing you have to think of is, what does a supplementary mean? Well, it means 180 degrees, okay? So that is what it means. So whenever we think of supplementary angles, you need to think of supplementary are two angles that equal 180 degrees, okay? So that's what you're going to write as well. So now what we're going to do is we are going to set up an equation. So it says write the equation and solve for x. So whenever we have supplementary angles, we know that these two angles right here are going to be added together. So you're going to write 2x plus 40 equals 180. Now why does that equal 180? Because the two angles are supplementary. Okay, so now what we do is we just start solving. So I draw my wall right there. Then I know that I'm going to do the opposite of addition, which is subtracting 40. So that goes right underneath it. Okay, so you subtract 40 from both sides, subtract 40, and you would solve for x, just like we've been doing. So this is your first step, so you can do this step on your own. Right, so let's talk about step number 2. Number 2, does number 1 look like number 2? No, so we should not write that this is going to be supplementary, right? It is complementary, which equals 90 degrees, okay? Because it has that right angle. Two angles that, when I add them together, equal 90 degrees. So now what I have to do is I have to write my equation and solve for x. Well, what are my two angles? My first angle is 3x plus 30 equals 90 degrees. It is 90 because these two angles, when I add them together, equal 90. Just like these two angles for number 1 added up to get 180. And you would just do your steps and solve. Okay, so let's talk about this next one. Do they form two angles that form a straight line when I can have them together? Yes, so we know that this right here is going to be supplementary and 180. So how am I going to write my equation? Well, my first angle is going to be 2x plus 140, which equals 180. That's your next step. Okay, so you do the same exact thing here. You look and you see, is it going to be a supplementary or complementary? Well, forms that straight line, so I know it's going to be S equals to 180 degrees. I know that my equation has to equal 180 degrees because angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 180. So now I have to insert my equation. So my equation, just like the previous 3, is going to be 2x plus 40. Oh, am I wrong? Yep. 20 plus 4x equals to what? 180, because it forms that supplementary, those two angles form supplementary angles. Okay, so now what you're going to do is your next step is to solve for x and finish the back of this page. You are going to answer questions on a form dealing with solving for x. You will be graded on the form. I will be giving you the answers. Scratch that. We will go over more examples on solving in the next slide. Write your notes on paper you received. That's all. Good job.